It's terrible. Representative Omar tried to downplay it, said, oh, it was very tough to know how this money should be used. Yeah. She was gaslighting the American people. When you come to this country, you got to learn which side of the road to drive on. You got to learn to stop at stop signs, and you got to learn not to defraud the American people.
Not to steal billions of dollars from American taxpayers, or you might be catapulted into the Red Sea. Just a thought. And now, Jimi Hendrix. There must be some kind of way out of here, said the Joker to the thief. There's too much confusion. I can't get no relief. From the insane Democrats. A very happy Friday morning to you. That was the Secretary of the entire Department of Treasury, Scott Bessent. He was on Face the Nation on Sunday, and he was talking about Ilhan Omar, and the Somalis stealing billions. There's never, it might be the biggest theft in the history of the country, not counting the Democrat Party, but certainly by foreign jihadis. How many billions did the Somalis in Minnesota steal U.S. taxpayer dollars? The biggest problem is not the Somalis, it's the Democrats. Make no mistake. The Center for Immigration Studies pulled together the numbers on Somalis versus regular Americans, taking welfare in the state of Minnesota, and the numbers are quite alarming, I've got to say. Of the native households in Minnesota, 21% collect welfare of one kind or another in food stamps and Medicaid and cash. In cash, we give out cash too. But listen to this. And native households in Minnesota, in the state of Minnesota, 21% of native households collect some kind of welfare, 21% of Native Americans. In Somali households in Minnesota, the number is 81%. 81% of Somali households collect welfare of some kind. Maybe the rest just steal from the taxpayer till or something, but 81%. And I love, this is my favorite number coming up here, because 21% of Americans in Minnesota collect some kind of welfare. Okay. 81% is the number for Somalis. But then you look at Somalis that have been here for a period of time, right? Because you can't expect the brand new Somalis who just came away from eating beetles and, having scorpions crawling over their legs while they fell asleep at night. But 81% of Somalis collect welfare of one kind or another. But after Somalis have been here for 10 years, see, the number is 78% that collect welfare after 10 years. So it's not just the new arrivals. That goes down 3 percentage points from 81% to 78%. Once you've been here for at least a decade or more, could be 20 years, could be more. Then it goes all the way down to 78% are on the welfare or the wayfare, whichever, isn't that great? So 21% of Americans in Minnesota collect some kind of welfare, food stamps or Medicaid or something. Somalis, 81%. Aren't they just wonderful new neighbors? It's and Ilhan Omar, she married her brother. They go online and look at all the Democrats lying about that. She didn't marry her brother. She just married him to get him illegally into the country as an illegal alien who married his sister. There is a lot of incest there, however, in Somalia. Pretty normal. So we got that. That's just great. 81% of Somalis in Minnesota are on welfare, but after they've been here for 10 years, it gets much better. Only 78% are on welfare. Isn't that amazing? Of Americans living in Minnesota, 18% are on Medicaid. 18% are on Medicaid. The number for Somalis is 73%. 73% for Somalis who are immigrants. And isn't that amazing? And after they've been here for 10 years, that number goes down to 68%. Only 68% after you've been here for 10 years because you're a complete deadbeat and you should be catapulted back into the abyss that is your beep hole country of origin. Just saying. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. And so the Somalis, at the invitation of the Democrat Party, have stolen. The lead investigator has declared that it is, he said, very comfortably at least $1 billion. At least $1 billion. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. That's the U.S. Attorney Daniel Rosen saying we're just beginning to investigate and pursue the stolen money. But right now, he said, very comfortable saying over $1 billion for sure. And what do we have? 90-something people charged with fleecing this COVID fund, which is supposed to feed children and with distended bellies and all that stuff. And what is it? Out of 90-something, 87 of them were Somali. They're still Somali, actually. So they still are Somali. But I got to say, this morning I was watching the television very early. That was the 5 a.m. hour. It was the 5 a.m. hour that I was watching. Oh, you're right. I apologize. Yeah, I was driving into Newsmax yesterday afternoon when I was listening to this on the satellite radio. And here is a Somali refugee. His name is Abdi Aftin. Abdi, A-B-D-I, Abdi Aftin, A-F-T-I-N. And he is a Somali, and he said he came as a refugee. He said he didn't come till he was 29 years old. But I was listening to this guy, and listen, he speaks English better than Ilhan Omar. He speaks English better than a lot of Democrats who were born and raised here in the United States. I've got to say, there's no doubt about that. But let's go to the Somali refugee, Abdi Aftin, who was yesterday afternoon, I apologize, on the television, talking about the Grand Theft Somalia. I think it's like, GTS, Grand Theft Somalia. And here is Somali refugee Abdi Aftin.
There are much deeper issues. I've moved into the U.S. And in Maine about 11 years ago. And basically the first question that members of my community asked me which tribe, I belong to. And when I mentioned, so I fell into that category. So there's a deeper tribal rivalry going on in the community, much larger than anybody can actually imagine.
A deeper tribal, and look, there were a couple of elections involving Somalis in Minnesota recently, and there were a couple of news reports about it, not by the New York Times or the Washington Post or 60 Minutes, but it turns out that in the elections in Minnesota, the race was broken down with the Somalis running for elected office, and the vote broke down to tribes, to tribal loyalties. And the members of this tribe, we'll just call it the Gug tribe, and they all voted for a Gugabuga. And then there's the other tribe, the Huga Baja tribe. I'm just making them up because who cares? And they voted for the guy from their tribe because they're bringing their primitive, Stone Age, prehistoric, tribal loyalties to the United States of America because Democrats. And isn't that wonderful? Now, this guy, I was listening to this guy. Again, I was driving in my car, and they're talking about, and he was talking about all the Somalis on welfare, too. But he talked about when he came here, and he moved to Maine originally. Maine, they sent him all to, not these Somali-like places. Shouldn't we put him in the middle of Arizona, where there are no communities anywhere? Then go around with sticks and chase scorpions or, something, make him feel at home. But he's Maine, and he said, and he got there, moved to Maine 11 years earlier, and the first question, hey, there are Somalis here, and he got there, and immediately they're like, what tribe are you with? And then they exclude you if you're not with their tribe because, Ungla Bungla. So we got that going. Abdi Aftin, who I think, perfectly, I've certainly known lots of Somalis over the years living in Washington, D.C., and East Africans and so on. And this guy, if I worked with this guy or this guy were a neighbor, if he lived in my building, just fine. But here he is, Abdi Eftin.
Interestingly enough, even though I spoke very good English, one of the things that I was told to do is go find a discounted housing Section 8, which I didn't know what actually it was, and sign up for all the other community benefits within the government or the state. And my response was, I'm actually here to work.
Huh, wow. And that did not leave him in good stead with the Somali village. You know, it takes a village to cannibalize everything. Isn't that amazing? So he was told he got here, and he obviously speaks English very well. And he said first thing he was told, go get the welfare housing. Go get Section 8 housing. Then I assume they told him to buy a Glock and start robbing places too. So get Section 8 housing and get the housing and all the benefits. Go sign up for all the free stuff because the stupid Americans are working overtime to funnel money into your skinny pockets. Isn't that amazing? Abdi Eftin, listen, he said, look, I'm in the Somali, this word community is way overused these days. And I think most of the time they don't even know what it means. But he's like, he got there, and there are these Somalis here, and he's like, all right, I'm in America, man. I want to work. I want to go to college. I want to learn. I want to become a success. I want to assimilate. I want to become an American. Here's, but not the rest of the Somalis around him. Here's Abdi Eftin.
Well, it was coming from the community that actually thought that was just a way of life, right?
Welfare.
Instead of being asked about what kind of school I want to go to, what subjects I would love to study, and those interesting conversations weren't there at all.
They weren't there at all. And he's sitting there looking at these people saying, what is the matter with you people? You're in the United States. Why aren't you talking about becoming educated? Why aren't you talking about assimilating to your new country? Integration and all this stuff. Abdi Eftin was confused by what he found from his fellow Somalis in the United States.
My response was, can we do better things? Can we as a community actually integrate? And let's listen to that word, interestingly, because that had got me a huge backlash. This is many, many years ago that many people thought, no, let's not talk about integration. And I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for a pushback against this idea of sort of melting into America, becoming part of America.
And he also becoming part of America, melting into America, assimilating, integrating into our culture and our society, learning the language, mastering the language, going to school, getting education, getting a job, and not just going on welfare, which is what he said. He got here, and that's what all the Somalis told him. Just go on welfare, get Section 8 housing, collect all the dollars you can collect. Abdi Eftin was talking about. Then he explained, well, the problem is in Somalia, we were sending so much money to Somalia that everybody was getting $100 a month, which is like, $10,000 a month over in that beep hole, and with the scorpions crawling over their dead bodies. And he said then when they got here, they brought that welfare-free, other people's money mentality to the United States.
When I was in Somalia, a huge part of the population in Somalia, we're talking about 20 million people in Somalia, a huge number of that depended on $100 that family members in the U.S. sent back home. So there was not a lot of work to rebuild the country or get to work or, just basically building things. So this whole idea of receiving things the easy way has unfortunately actually evolved and became part of our way of life for 30 years. And I really don't want to put this on someone else. I have like-minded friends within my community, but we're a minority.
Good guy. This guy could live in my building, live in my neighborhood, work here at this radio station. I'd be fine with this guy. He's perfectly normal. He's a fine immigrant to the United States, America. He's got it right. And he explained they just brought their welfare. I'd do nothing. $100 a month is like woohoo. Driving a Mercedes and got 2 AK-47s. Good stuff. Isn't that great? This Christmas, as we celebrate life, We all have an opportunity to share that same gift with a mother in need and her baby, also very much in need. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy and unsure what to do about it. She's searching for hope and for guidance, and that's where preborn ministries come in. There's a biblical story about an older woman named Sarah who was barren, couldn't have kids, deeply distressed because she couldn't have kids. Then, in the most unexpected way, when Sarah was 90 years old and her husband Abraham was 100, God moved, and she gave birth to her son Isaac. Huh? How about that? There are babies in their mother's wombs right now who need your help, our help, right now as well. As the year comes to an end, your tax-deductible donation can be the difference between life and death, quite literally. Would you consider a leadership gift to save babies in a big way? Your gift of $5,000, $10,000, even $15,000 will be used to help countless babies and save lives for years to come. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby when prompted. That's pound 250. The keyword is baby. Or go to Al Gore's Amazing Internet and donate securely at preborn.com/plant. That's me, preborn.com/PLANTE. Yeah, I got to tell you, I was glad I found this Somali guy because Somalis are not looking good right now from Ilhan Omar on down. I've got to tell you. This guy, we could take a whole bunch of him. Can we send Ilhan Omar back? So at least $1 billion, perhaps billions and billions, stolen by refugees, we call them, from Somalia. Such a nice place. A remarkable story here. The research out of Somalia shows female genital mutilation, which I won't describe here in graphic detail, but you have some idea, no doubt. The removal of certain vitally important parts. And it turns out that in Somalia, the study found that female genital mutilation in Somalia, a staggering 99.2% of girls and women in Somalia aged 15 to 49 have endured female genital mutilation. Now, the Democrats are bringing that to the United States, so they fit right in with Somalis, but isn't that amazing? The average age when Somali girls are cut, that word is in quotation marks, is from the age of 10 to the age of 14. Somali community has the highest percentage of genitally mutilated girls and women in the world. And then they, I guess it's the men stealing the billions of dollars. And this is Minnesota. Yeah, the Democrat governor, Tim Walz in Minnesota, who has studiously ignored, even though it was brought to his attention years ago, the Somalis stealing billions. He never lifted a finger. Yesterday, he had a spokesman put out a statement saying that the Democrat governor is going to appoint a corruption czar? Anti-fraud czar. That's more specific, I guess. Yeah, czar. They love the Soviet lexicon, so he uses czar. That's the Russian imperialist lexicon, I know. But they still talked about the czars after they killed everybody, because they're commies and all that. But amazing stuff. And I've got to say, these welfare numbers are just off the charts, crazy, extraordinary. The female genital mutilation numbers are absolutely out of this world, just completely third world lunacy. And then, of course, the CBS News story on how the Somalis are taking our money and buying luxury automobiles. In fact, CBS had fleets of automobiles being bought by the Somalis, private villas, not in the United States, also lakefront houses in the United States and Minnesota, and so on, and millions and millions and millions and millions. And the 24-year-old who was convicted, and now he owes, $48 million to us, the American taxpayers because as a 24-year-old, he apparently got busted and he was convicted of stealing $48 million. That's all. He's got to pay back $48 million in restitution because of the fraud that he pulled off. Isn't that amazing? And 10 years in prison because now we get to pay for him to be in prison, and we're never going to get the $48 million. What's he going to, like, win $48 million playing poker in prison? It's, we're not getting anything back. The Somalis, they're not, this is not the ideal when you're looking at American immigrants, people coming to the United States and wanting to assimilate and join the great project that is the United States of America. A lot of these people are jihadis. They're sending money to Al-Shabaab, their old domestic terror organization, and they're sending lots of money to them. Isn't that great? Just wonderful. And the luxury cars, the private villas, the trips to the Maldives, the weddings, we're very generous people, and we're being robbed all over the place. And I did send in the weather. I have the weather here. It is, let me see, in Minneapolis, where we moved all these Somalis. Just wonderful. Today, the high is 21 degrees. But tomorrow, the high is 2 degrees. The high is 2 degrees tomorrow, Saturday, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hey, Somalis, welcome to America. Maybe we should buy them blankets. Just saying. So here they are. All right, let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Ali calling from Virginia. Ali, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Great again to hear your voice. Long life listener, but I did not call you for a while. You are my friend on every commute to D.C. Thank you, Chris, for the work you're doing. Thank you for WMAL.
Well, thank you, Ali.
I was working as an investigative reporter for a network. I don't want to name it here, but from 2010 all the way to 2020. And I was fortunate to visit many states, many great states, and one of these states was the state of Minnesota. Minneapolis brought memories from back home in Iraq. Minneapolis, I visited in 2012, 2013, 2014, all under Obama administration. And if you visited and you did work with the Somalis on stories or any kind of work, you could see it vividly, how they took down the city, how they are occupying the city, literally occupying the city. One of the stories I did, Chris, back in these days was we were reading all these news coming from terrorists caught or terrorists killed in Syria or in Al-Shabaab with Al-Shabaab in Somal. And all of these, like 6 of these people, Chris, imagine 6 of these people, they grew up in the same city, they went to the same school, and they were praying in the same mosque in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. 6. Some of them killed in Syria and some of them killed in Somalia. And so we looked at it at the time and he said, hey, there is a trend. And I think, at the time I pitched it to my editor-in-chief and he approved it. Let's go and see what's going on. When I went there, literally, I was living in the States maybe for 5 years at the time. And I went there, it's like, I did not see these things in Iraq. What I mean, there is like an actual mall and it's called Caramel Mall with a K. At that mall, there are like places, like signs, women-only shops. You literally like women-only shops, and you cannot like even walk in the front of that shop or go inside it unless you have your wife, so your wife will go there. Who knows? She will be covered up and down. You don't know who's this. Mm-hmm. But these are the only people who will be allowed there. One other thing I saw. Now
that's in Minneapolis. You're saying, right, Ali?
That is in Minneapolis. You can Google the mall. It's still there.
So the Somalis are bringing Somali culture to Minnesota, and they've got the Kamal, Abdul Kamal Turk mall there, and they have shops with women only and no women also on the other side of that coin, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And on the other side, you see like they have a community center. I'm using quotation mark. The community center, the kids will come out of school, and they will come to that community center. And I went to that community center with a couple of stories. What they learn in the community center is baffling. They learn, it's okay if they want to learn their religion, that's fine. They're like learning their language, learning their religion in a very fundamental way, and they have TVs. Like they use, they call it IPTVs. I'm sure you know about that. Your listeners know about that. IPTV, basically, it's an internet TV where you don't pay, obviously, you don't pay for cable companies or you don't pay for any kind of legal services to get a TV broadcast. You get it there and you watch like all kind of fundamental channels all over the Middle East. It's in Arabic and also in Somali. They're learning the language, which is I'm fine with it. Just like, just to be fine. They could. I mean, anybody. It's fair to say, if you're Italian American, you go to community center to learn Italian. If you're living here, so your family wants you to keep your heritage. Except, I mean, the heritage, big part of that heritage, is based on terrorism and based on fundamental ideas.
Right.
These people could not live in the region. I'm telling you. I was living in a couple places before I came to the U.S. in the region, and the Somalis are not welcome because what they do, they come, they live in an enclave, they try not to work, they try to live off the welfare system, which unfortunately we are providing here, and they are living under, like, even not undercover. I talked to the former sheriff at the time in the city, and he was telling me how many times they raised the red flag, and that was again Obama administration, to the Fed, and he actually said it on tape. I had that. He said it. The problem here is not the Somalis. The problem are the Fed, because the federal, he was talking about the FBI, they are not doing their job in the city. So some good people, they know what's going on in the city, but nobody is listening. So I'm very happy that President Trump is facing that now. The administration is facing that now, because guess what? It's not in one city. It's everywhere. And it's not that just that community, many, many other communities. And we see it. We live in it. When you work, you see it. I mean, we both live in the city or work in the city, me and you and a lot of the listeners. And we see it now in D.C., we see it in Virginia, we see it in Maryland, and it's everywhere else.
Well,
look at New York, for God's sake.
Yeah, and Texas. We're hearing about a lot of it going on in Texas, and we've been watching it closely from Tennessee and California for years now.
Dearborn, Detroit.
Dearborn, Michigan, Murfreesboro. Now, you mentioned something. You said your community center, you're making quotation marks with your fingers, and the mosque. And you're talking about a community center in Minneapolis and a mosque in Minneapolis, and you're saying 6 jihadis from that community center. I just want to make sure I heard this correctly, Ali. 6 Somalis from the community center and from the mosque, all going to the same mosque in Minnesota, found their way to the jihad in Iraq and in Afghanistan. Is that right?
No, Syria and Somalia.
I'm sorry,
Syria and Al-Shabaab.
Syria and Somalia. Okay. And and fighting for Al-Shabaab.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So they're in Syria and Somalia, but they came out of Minnesota.
They went to the same high school. They went to the same mosque. And by the way, we went to the mosque. Again, my name is Ali, and, I present myself as Ali from the Middle East. So, it's fair enough for them to presume I'm a Muslim. So I went there and I said, hey, we want to visit you guys to do a story or get like some sound bites from the imam, from people. They did not allow us to do that. And guess what? On a Friday day, we went. I told them I want to go to the prayer. I don't pray, but I just wanted to go to the prayer and see what
Friday in Islam is what Sunday is to Christendom. That's right.
It's a holiday, and Friday prayer is not optional.
Right.
So you go and you have to pray.
Friday afternoon prayers, right?
Yes, and I went there, and the imam, or like one of the imam helpers, I guess, he saw me there, and he came to me, and he told me, you need to get out. So that day I called my editor-in-chief, and I said, if you don't smell the fishiness, it's all over there. Because if they cannot let me even hear the sermon and whatever he's saying, this is not just a red flag. This is like gigantic, we need something here.
Well, and Ali,
nothing happened.
Let me ask you. Well, and I'm glad that you're paying attention to it, and your editor-in-chief, I guess, on and off again. But what you're telling us, I believe, Ali, is that under our noses, we are watching a separatism, and we're watching jihad festering inside the United States, not just in Minnesota and Dearborn, Michigan, and elsewhere around the country, in Detroit and elsewhere. You're saying that we should open our eyes because there are Islamists living among us and breeding the next generation of Islamists who would destroy Western civilization. And I want to put words in your mouth, but who would, the Islamists, not the average Muslim, but Islamists would destroy Western civilization.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And also, I need to add to that, I don't want to call like them regular Muslims, but a lot of people in the Muslim communities, they see it, they don't cooperate with it, they don't like it, they are baffled by it. And guess who's helping actually these cells? I'm calling them cells. Who's helping them? The people who live in their white guilt for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. White American, I mean, I hate to, categorize people for the color of their skin, but these are the people who are like pandering to these, to this, not to just the Somalis, to all of these, like care and, like, look, it's just,
right.
I mean, I wish I could like talk about this for hours about it, but believe me, I used all my connections all these years to talk about it everywhere. Uh-huh. Everywhere I go, in any setting, if I'm sitting with people I'm interviewing, if I'm sitting with people on the Hill, or I'm sitting to people with think tanks, I always bring it up.
Right.
And it's not about one community. It's not about. I'm obviously, a lot of people maybe will think I'm racist. Who cares? Because I know I'm not.
Right.
I served with the U.S. troops in Iraq from 2003 to 2006, and I served as a cultural advisor, just because I saw how bad the job, sometimes these translators, interpreters do with the military in Iraq, and I salute all of the people, all the military service people who worked and saved Iraq. But you see it there, and you do it. You have to imagine. I did it there under the fire to save my own community in Iraq.
Yeah. And
somehow I failed. Somehow maybe I gained some out of it. But then to come to the U.S. as a refugee, like literally I had to find my way to come legally, to come with all the paperwork, with the vetting, which I loved because I understood why.
Right.
It is an honor to be here. It's a privilege to be in the U.S. It's not something, like, oh, they have to take us because whatever. No. And I came here and I worked, and I till today I'm working. Actually, I'm parking now in front of my work office in D.C.
Uh-huh.
And I love it. I love it. You have to live the experience. And yes, by the way, I still enjoy my Iraqi roots. I still enjoy Iraqi music, the food, everything. But that's part of it. That's part of it.
That's
right. By the way, you cannot do that if you go and live in somewhere else.
Yeah.
You have to be. You have to lose everything, and nobody wants to lose anything here. I mean, nobody's asking the Somalis to lose their identity.
That's right.
Nobody asking them to lose their religion.
That's right.
They just need to lose their fundamental ideas, who ruin their countries, who ruin the entire Middle East except Israel. I mean, sometimes even Israel is getting affected by that, lunatic ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Ali, I got to tell you, I'm so happy. Here. I'm so happy you called in. I know I'm going to hear about you later today and over the weekend from people that I know, and I'm very grateful that you called in, and I'm grateful that you worked with the U.S. Army in Iraq 2003 through 2006, and God bless you. I'm very happy that you called in. Thank you, and I'll look forward to talking to you in the future as well. Ali, thank you so very much. I've run out the clock on you, but you're great. People are going to be talking about you at their dinner tables tonight, Ali. Thank you for the call. Wonderful. From effortless holiday hosting to unforgettable gifts for your family, for your coworkers, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. Shop this season's top gourmet gifts at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because you hang out with me by day, you're going to get another $35 off with the code PLANT at checkout. My best girl and I, we love our filet mignons. We had filet mignons last night at home in the skillet, as a matter of fact, and we cook them up in my grandfather's antique skillet. It's wonderful. Give someone that you love the gift of steaks. this Christmas. Your coworkers, your family members. Right now is the perfect time to save on delicious gifts and holiday hosting favorites. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Right now you save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com, and for an extra $35 off, use the code PLANT at checkout. Terms apply. See the website for details. That's omahasteaks.com. The code is PLANT. Yes, sir. Yeah, Ollie, he was just getting warmed up. You could tell. I would have spent more time with him, too. Ollie was great, wasn't he? I want to buy Ollie a beer. He can have an apple juice if he wants. Let's go back to the phones, Michael. Let's go to Ted, listening on Al Gore's amazing internet from Williamsburg, Virginia. Theodore, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Thank you very much, Chris.
You
Thanks
betcha.
for taking my call.
You bet.
And I wanted to call actually for a clarification, if I can use that term, that word.
Of course.
That I heard a news conference by our buddy Tim Waltz about 4 days ago, where he was confronted by a reporter and asked him about this scandal.
Uh-huh.
And he actually took credit for discovering the scandal, saying that his people actually investigated it, and since it was a federal offense, his people actually turned it over to the feds for prosecution. Do you know if this has any truth at all as to what actually happened?
I believe that is essentially true, yes, that the Democrat governor, Tim Walz, who the Democrats wanted to be vice president of the United States, that he and people in his administration at the highest levels were made aware repeatedly, again and again. In fact, there's another story out today that there's a TSA agent who is now retired who has come out and told the story to media that while he was TSA in Minneapolis, St. Paul at the airport there, he saw on repeated occasions Somalis with suitcases stuffed with cash just going through the airport.
Yeah.
But the Democrats have been aware of this for years, and now he's appointed a czar of some kind, but he didn't lift a finger, and he passed the buck to the feds.